Hello, good evening, and welcome to UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa. My guest today carved his political career right from the first parliament in the Fourth Republic, that is in 1992. He's been there for some time, became a deputy speaker of that particular parliament. We'll be getting to know and catching up with his life and also getting to know what he thinks of the current parliament, current NDC politics, and also the many things happening in the country. I'm sure you might know him by now, but after the break, I'll let you know who my guest is. Welcome back. This is UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa, and today my guest is the Honorable Ken Drasa. Honorable, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And he's been a deputy speaker of Ghana's parliament in times past. He went into parliament in 1992. He was member of parliament for Southtown and been there for some time, then rose up to the leadership of parliament along the line. Honorable, I hope you are doing well.
Very well.
I mean, you've been recently active for a very long time. You were not as active as we expected you to be in Ghanaian politics. What really happened?
The disappointment that we had through the 2016 elections kept a few of us rethinking whether there was no need for a rebranding of the NDC.
Okay.
To have been beaten virtually to the pit, vote difference of over 800,000 was a great calamity to the party, and we needed to reflect on it. So upon sober reflection, some of us thought that we needed serious rebranding, and the rebranding necessitated us pushing for the recognition of another candidate.
I see.
Yes, and we have been on the campaign trail for almost 1.5 years now.
I'll come back to that, the politics of the NDC and all of the developments that follow from there. But I want to understand exactly what is happening now from where you sit in this country. Do you think that we are heading in the right direction?
To start with, I'm not in a position to start giving the marks.
I'll not demand of you a scorecard.
It's too early in the day.
Okay. It's been 2 years already.
It is. But you see, governments progress, and for some mysterious reasons, they come out of the woods and they are able to do what the general populace expects of them. So I'm not going to be presumptuous in this matter.
Okay.
Now, but what I can say is that what is being touted, basically economic principles, are not reflecting adequately in the pockets of the individual.
The president last week disagreed with this claim.
Well, maybe it is good in his pocket. It is good in the pocket of his ministers. But you need just to go to the ordinary man in the street. President Akufo-Addo is not an ordinary man.
I see.
Yes, and he probably is hearing what he is expecting to hear.
Okay.
The challenge with leadership is that our previous leaders have tended to listen to that which is favorable to their cause, and they are never critical of the rabble-rousing, the complaints that go around when the ordinary man in the street is challenged.
I see.
So
they are not in touch with the grassroots?
Invariably, that is what happens. You see, the nation is a big entity.
That's true.
Corporate Ghana is very huge. And it is always important that people close to leadership feed them with what is correct.
I see.
And I don't think that is happening. Yes, it's for this reason that when the opposition, for instance, raises questions about our priorities, they bastardize the opposition and claim that we don't have the moral courage or the a stand, as it were, to bring up those matters. There are several things that have come which have been raised, but which have been discarded or disregarded by government. So
because of the lack of moral authority on the other side to speak to it. The claim is that the NDC in the most recent past presided over a very terrible system. You cannot come out of that and demand some form of a better system within the years we are looking at from a government that's seeking to fix the mess they say was created by the previous administration.
A government that is seeking to fix the mess. Is that it?
Yes, that's what they say.
Well, that is what they say. But is that really the situation? Are they really fixing a mess?
You don't think they are?
They are not. I really don't see. For 2 years, a lot of things ought to have happened. And those things are not happening.
Like growth rate from 3.7 to 8.5.
See, those are the things that the ordinary Ghanaian is not interested in. The ordinary Ghanaian.
But those are the macroeconomic fundamentals. What shows that your economy is on the right footing? Those are the indicators clearly.
Yeah, then when is it going to descend down into the pockets of the people? That is the issue that is at stake now.
Okay.
It is never reflecting in the life of the people.
All right.
President Akufo-Addo has a right to say that it is indeed reflecting. And some of us also have a right to say otherwise.
Okay. Now, I've heard you say that the one district, one factory, for example, one village, one dam, is impossible to do.
Now, you see, this government engages too much in sloganeering. Slogans upon slogans. If we want to apply strictly what the one district, one factory, one district, one dam, one village, one dam means, then it means that every village ought to have a dam.
Especially in the 3 regions of the north. That was the focus area.
Yes. But you and I know that it is not possible.
Is it not possible?
If it is possible, there will be no arable land left for the cultivation of crops using the irrigation system that is created by the dams.
I see.
Yes. I mean, it is just a slogan to whip up enthusiasm and whip up interest. Now, 4 years, they have done 2 years. How many of those dams have been done? 4 years, they've done 2 years. How many of the district factories have been done? You see, the paradox about all this arrangement is that government is now shifting grounds, going to identify or associate itself with factories that have been in existence and which need to be revamped. When they are growing up, then they stamp it with the title one district, one factory.
And that's wrong? You think it's wrong?
One would have expected.
Okay.
One would have expected that based on the promises they made,
okay,
they would allow those who are already in the process, in the mill, to chart their own course.
So if they say that there are 78 of these factories at different stages of completion, would you dispute that?
Well, I am not in a position to deny or admit it.
I get you.
Because I don't travel with them. But the truth is that a number of times figures and cases have been put across which turn out not to be the real situation.
I see. We'll talk about Parliament later on in this conversation. But let's get to the crux of our conversation. It's the state of the NDC today. What do you think is currently happening to the NDC?
The NDC is going through a process of rejuvenation.
Okay.
It's going through a rebranding, as it were. The NDC, based on the new provisions in its constitution, is broadening the democratic space. You would recall that on several occasions, we just by consensus picked our leaders.
That's true.
Now, it has changed. And everybody has to go to the ground to test the pulse of the people in order that they may assess the actual needs of the people, and if they are able to convince them, that is the way forward.
I see.
In terms of choice of leadership.
Then they are elected.
Then they are elected.
It's interesting to know that. Now, there's a lot of question about whether or not the NDC can annex 2020, win power, come back into power, and do the things you want to do with the running of the state. For you, what were really the main causes of the 2016 defeat?
I think, to be frank with you, I think that NDC just assumed that it was going to retain power.
Complacency?
Complacency is one. Secondly, the way the NPP did their campaign.
Okay.
The name callings about corruption, inefficiency, and incompetence. You see, when people are under pressure and they want a vent to express their anger or feelings, and you bring in issues which may not necessarily be accurate, they swallow it hook, line, and sinker. So the general population assumed that what NPP was saying was true.
Was the allegations of corruption leveled against the Mahama administration untrue?
Has there been any prosecution so far?
There are prosecutions ongoing actually in the various courts of the country. I can recall at least 4.
Well, you are talking of corruption.
Yes.
Is there corruption in this current government?
Perceivably so. The civil society organizations recently put out a letter detailing some of them and insisting action be done on them.
Yeah, the principle in criminal jurisprudence is that you are not guilty
until proven so.
So let us wait until the outcome of the...
I get your point. But the question I'm asking you is whether or not when the NPP then in opposition held allegations of corruption against the John Dramani Mahama administration, were these allegations figments of their imagination or they had some reality and truth in them?
You see, the speed with which they brought out these matters, one would have expected that by now they would have lined up several NDC functionaries and thrown them into jail. But that is not happening.
At least not at the pace that you would want it.
Well, not that I would want it, at a realistic pace.
I see the point.
Yes. Now, the truth of the matter is that accusations of corruption are easy to make, but very, very difficult to defend. No, very, very difficult to prove.
I see.
That is the challenge we face now. Yes, I do hope.
I'm not hearing you say that, no, there wasn't corruption in the John Dramani Mahama administration. I'm not hearing you say emphatically that. You're only leaving at it's difficult to prove it.
No. That's not what I'm saying. No, those who are alleging have responsibility to establish.
That's true.
And from the scheme of things, it does not appear that all those rapid charges, accusations that we had over the period, over inflation of contracts and all these things we have had, one would have thought that those information or accusations were backed by a substantial material or evidence or facts out of which they can mount a prosecution.
I see.
Yeah, maybe they are very busy leading the state, and as a result of which they have not yet turned to face the NDC so-called accusations.
Is it not for that particular role and dealing with massive corruption that somebody like Martin Amidu, who is from your fold, actually has been brought in to do the special prosecutor's job?
Well, I do not know what informed President Akufo-Addo in picking Mr. Martin Amidu.
Right choice?
The responsibility is that of every Ghanaian.
Okay.
To help fight corruption.
Yes, but I'm singling out the man who's a special prosecutor a former deputy attorney general. He became attorney general along the line under J.E.A. Mills, and with a man of so much experience, and of course, he's a controversial figure too. Do you think he was the right person to lead the crusade in the office of the special prosecutor?
I think you have addressed the question yourself.
No, I'm asking for you.
You have addressed it yourself by saying that he is a controversial figure.
Yes.
Why is he clouded in controversy? These are issues that would lead us into determining whether he's the right person or not.
But have you determined whether he is the right person or not?
Now, to the extent that he has not prosecuted a single individual, and to the extent that we have not seen him exhibit neutrality, we haven't yet seen him, it is difficult to make any pronouncement as to the character, the stature, and then the possible performance of the man.
But it's because the office has not been completely set up. I mean, it's this year that he got some 180 million for 2019, right?
Yes. So yes, that I am not going to preempt
how it's going to be like for you.
Yeah, that's right.
So now, generally, I mean, this government says it's fighting corruption. The president is very vociferous about that. He says even his own men who have been alleged to have engaged in corruption and other things have been dealt with. You agree? You believe so?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Who is the example that you think has not been dealt with?
What happened at Bost?
Oh yeah, the Bost boss was removed.
Is that fighting corruption?
Is that not punitive enough?
I don't know what corruption means.
I see.
If corruption is just simply picking somebody who has misconducted himself out of a location and replacing him, and that satisfies the generality of the public, then we need to redefine corruption.
I don't want you to get off gear. The question I asked you basically was whether or not this government's accusation of corruption against the former administration is being dealt with the way it ought to be dealt with. That was the crux of my question. In fact, you talked about what is being done and what is not being done and the pace at which it's supposed to be done or expected to have been done because of how the allegations were being leveled and what is really happening currently. Do you think that this administration, the Akufo-Addo administration, is corrupt? There's massive corruption in the government. Do you think so?
You see, I do not like questions that elicit simplicity. One answer, yes or no. There are surrounding circumstances that you can use to judge whether where you are pushing me to, whether I am going to be responding positively or negatively. Now,
so give me this circumstance.
Yes, let me just tell you something. Corruption is, they say, like a venereal disease. The person who contracts it.
Venereal disease are actually sexually transmitted.
Yes, who contracts it hides. And then the person who suffers it is also not able to come out.
Okay.
Now, all these open public protestations of former President John Mahama's government having done or committed several acts of corruption, for the past 4 years, we have not seen any credible step. Serious. If Dr. Opuni is in court, and then the communications, what do you call it? Those are the
National
two-star
Communications Authority.
Yes.
Bafu Boni and Co.
Yes. The campaign during the NPP position in opposition was targeted at ministers, the president himself, and some of us are surprised that all those things have been, pushed aside, and they are focusing on one or two few individuals. Is it the case that they are now preparing the dockets?
They say they are working on it.
Well, then let us not preempt issues.
I get your point. Now, let me get to the point that brought us to this corruption talk. This is because we are seeking to find out how the NDC lost the election. You brought in complacency. You brought in allegations that were bundled against the administration then, which perhaps got currency from people believing them.
Yes.
Yes. Is there any other reasons that that led to the downfall of the John Mahama administration?
It looks like the party did not take good care of the rank and file.
And by good care, what did you mean?
Now, you see, when people lay the golden egg, the hen that lays the whole golden egg, you must give it that which will resource it sufficiently to produce more.
Okay.
You understand?
I get you.
Now, party leadership must show a lot more interest in what is happening to those who create the votes to enable us win power. I think that to a large extent, the NDC failed on that.
Okay.
Yes. That is why, for instance, it is necessary for us to open the contest, get people to make a claim or to lay a claim to the seat of government.
I get you. And you carefully chose party leadership. You know, the president of the country and then President John Dramani Mahama cannot be said not to be part of the leadership of the party.
Yes.
When he was in power in this case.
Yes.
Was he equally liable for some of these errors?
Now, we were dealing with NDC.
Yeah.
NDC as an institution. NDC is not a headless institution. It is an establishment that has a command structure.
That's true.
And where we can place responsibilities. So when I am talking of leadership, it includes me
Okay.
as an individual. It necessarily includes the former president. It necessarily includes the chairman of the party. It even includes the chairman of the constituency.
Now, as we speak, the chairman has been changed. The general secretary has been kept. There's some fresh blood into the national party leadership of the NDC.
Yes.
What looks like more likely to be recurrent is the quest for comeback by President John Dramani Mahama. Is that a step in the right direction?
Now, as an individual,
Yes.
he has a legitimate claim to contest for a second term.
Is that in the interest of the NDC, seeking to win the next election?
Now, you see, it is on account of my disagreement with that move that I decided to go and follow Joshua Alabi.
You were consulted. Were you
was
consulted by former President John Dramani Mahama
in respect of
his decision to contest?
Now, long before former President John Mahama announced his interest, I had moved into Professor Joshua Alabi's camp.
So you preempted he would go and proceeded to head in the opposite direction?
No, at the introduction of these discussions,
Yeah.
I told you that the NDC badly needs to be rebranded. Rebranding here means new faces, new ideas, and we must put in additional effort to propel victory.
Mixing the new faces with old faces won't work for you.
It will.
It would?
It would. It would. But you see, there is this saying that the fish starts spoiling from the head.
I see.
So the head needs to be changed. And then, of course, look, NDC is a very big family. And as a family, whoever wins will be obliged to work with the other candidates that are contesting.
I see.
Yes, that is the beauty about democracy and this contest.
Exactly what is wrong with John Dramani Mahama's quest or leadership of the NDC into the next election? Is he a spend force? Is he no longer attracted to the voters? Is he lacking the ideas to push forward the party? Is it because of his history as former president? Exactly what is wrong with his quest?
You see, when you ask the question in this direction, then you are pushing me to the wall.
Oh, no. I've given you the freedom to choose.
You see, but I'm going to react to it. Now, in the first place,
Yes.
the electoral record of 2016 shows that we have fallen into a pit
That's true.
with as many as 800,000 votes.
Yeah.
Now, we need to climb from that pit, come to the surface, get our 5 million plus one to be able to lead this country.
50% plus one.
Yes. Now, the question is, the person who took us into the pit, is he the appropriate person to bring us out of the pit? Why were we, in the first place, sent into the pit? These are all issues, questions that I, as an individual, could not find any satisfactory answer to. So I said that there has to be a rebranding.
I get you.
Except former President John Mahama.
Yes.
Is a nice man.
Yeah.
He's good. Now, but I am exercising the inalienable right to choose.
I get your point. But it does sound to me like you're not blaming him for the defeat of the party on one side. On the other side, you said he took you to the pit. Is it to blame entirely, partially, for the NDC's loss in 2016?
I told you that the NDC is an establishment, it's an organization.
I get your point.
There are key players.
Who play their role.
Yes, I cannot absolve myself from blame.
I see.
If I cannot, then it means that those who were in top leadership cannot also escape blame.
So what?
To the extent that the voter became so angry.
Voter region was angry?
Voters became...
voters, the electorate.
Yeah, the electorate became angry, and they didn't go to the polls.
Not because of the propaganda against the leadership of the country at the time?
Now, there has been a research, the Kwesi report, which has clearly identified in details what
really happened. Yeah.
But telling you what I know outside the report, I haven't read the report. I haven't had access to it.
I get your point. You've not seen it.
Yeah,
you've not read it.
No. Telling you what I know outside the report. On that 7th December 2016, I woke up and got to my polling station at 9, and there was no queue.
Really? Previous
elections, even at 1 p.m., 1 p.m. there will still be queue. Then I got alarmed that something was wrong. So what I did was to call a few of my operatives and said, what is it? And they said that the people say they are not coming out. What did they say was wrong? Previously, they had complained about the fact that leadership is not taking good care of the rank and file. That is my judgment of the situation. And I need to be bold and bring this to the public so that by this we can learn some lessons out of it. And that is the reason why we cannot continue to do the same old things and expect new results.
Except that in this case, you seem to think that the panacea to fixing the party's problems is the individual John Dramani Mahama not leading it.
One of the cures is for us to change leadership.
And you're also of the opinion that in the absence of John Dramani Mahama, the most befitting replacement should be Professor Joshua Alabi.
I do.
How do you come to this conclusion?
I was in Parliament with Professor Joshua Alabi from 1996 to 2000. Now, that was where we got into some relationship, friendship.
Okay, see.
I grew very much interested in the man because of the sort of qualities that he had.
Even then?
Even then. But I became even better encouraged by the way he was able to lead himself into accomplishing several successes. And the most visible of it, you would agree with me, is the IPS, which was a proverbial commercial college that he had turned round into a first-class university that is the point of reference for even African universities.
Now, Uncle Ken, let's take a break here. When we come back, we continue our conversation.
Okay.
Well, folks, my guest today is Ken Drasa, former Deputy Speaker of Ghana's Parliament. We'll continue our conversation after this break. You're welcome back to our front. My name is Raymond Akwa, and today we're spending some time with the Honorable Ken Drasa, who's a former Deputy Speaker of Ghana's Parliament. He's been very active more recently on the Ghana's political terrain, and that's what we're interrogating. So you're welcome back, sir. Before we took the break, we're seeking to establish why you think that Joshua Alabi is the man to run the NDC, give it a better future in this particular case. Yeah. And you said from your experience in Parliament, and the reformation is brought to the UPSA.
Yes.
But some say that is nothing comparable to running the state of the Republic of Ghana.
To those who say that,
yeah,
I would want you to ask them what has been the accomplishment of various presidential aspirants before they were voted into power. I don't want to itemize them. What did they achieve in life to merit them being promoted to the position of a president?
So conceivably, would it not have been, comparable to, let's say, former President John Dramani Mahama? He was assemblyman, he became a member of Parliament, then he became deputy minister and minister, then became the vice president of the Republic of Ghana. Yeah. That seems to me like a natural transition to becoming president. In any case, he's been president before, compared to somebody like Professor Alabi, who clearly hasn't been president before, hasn't been vice president before, and doesn't have the same trajectory or political history like the former president.
You see, I think you need to invite Professor Joshua Alabi.
Yeah, I've spoken to him in this seat before.
Yeah, you need to invite him. He's a well-accomplished individual.
Yes, in a very different field, which may sound very interesting to look at there. But at this time in our development, will the man whose extraordinary achievements have been in education be the best fit to lead the country?
He has not been an achiever only in education. Now, the Chartered Institute of Marketing voted him Marketing Man of the Year.
Yes, so many people have been voted in that position before.
Wait.
But they are not all lazy guys to be president.
Imani Ghana voted him as the most influential public sector leader for the year 2013. Now, Ghana, the Republic of Ghana, awarded him the Order of the Volta, which is the highest award or achievement. I am sure you would agree with me that no presidential candidate who is running now has received that award before. You see,
but perhaps somebody like former President Mahama was busy giving the award rather than receiving it. Hope you understand what I'm trying to say. He has been to the highest level of Ghanaian public servant positioning.
Yeah, you see.
You understand that?
The problem that I have with some critics of people contesting President John Mahama, the problem I have is that they haven't looked at the other side of the individuals who want to contest him. These are people who are self-made individuals who have accomplished very, very significantly in various fields of endeavor, and who, given the opportunity, may even excel.
I see.
Yes.
But that'd be like you are trying someone new. Why would you try someone new when you have somebody with a track record you know of?
I wouldn't answer that question.
No, for the record, I am asking you to tell me reasons why the Ghanaian people should vote, or the NDC delegates should vote Professor Joshua Alabi as against a former president who knows what it takes to take presidential decisions, what the backlash has been before, and what it takes to run the country and has done it before. That is exactly what I'm asking you to do.
If I'm going to shoot directly, I'll tell you, that it is because the Ghanaians had rejected him before.
Once.
Yes.
Just once.
And that is not significant for you?
Just once.
Look, you know what? The electoral cycle is 4 years.
I see.
4 years is a lot. And so you don't say once. You don't just use the word once. Now, why should we market? I wouldn't want to go further on this matter.
You have been on record to say that, I mean, Joshua Alabi is more marketable than the former president.
Yes.
But that is a contestable issue.
I have the right
Yes.
to make an assessment as to who is most suitable to lead our party into victory.
I get your point. But when you say more marketable,
yes,
I would want to see where the evidence that supports that claim will be, so that we can all independently evaluate this evidence and say, yes, from your experience and distinguished service, you are right.
I was recounting to you all his achievements. For instance, how recently have you been to the former IPS?
I've been there more recently, less than 2 weeks ago.
Now, all those developments there did not take place with the intervention of state money.
Yes, he transformed the school. Yeah,
absolutely.
Big deal.
It is big.
Big deal?
It is.
I have seen vice chancellors of other universities do similar transformation. They're not running for president.
No, can you give me the examples?
For example, if you ask Enezaite how he transformed University of Ghana, the infrastructural developments that have been added there, the road developments that people have seen, the curriculum developments that have made it big. The University of Ghana, that until recently was not even among the first 5 on the continent, is now being ranked as one of the highest. In the sub-region, it's also being made the highest. That is equally some very worthwhile transformation. You would agree?
I would not agree.
Really?
Yes, I would not agree. What you need to do is to look at the circumstances. If society decides not to contest for leadership of any party, that should not prevent Professor Joshua Alabi from contesting.
I get your point.
It is a personal decision backed by a well thought out understanding of the political situation of the day.
It doesn't look like he would win. Were you at the NDC's, what they call the National Leadership Election? Were you there?
Which leadership? Yes, I was there.
You were there?
Yes.
There seemed to be a preponderant support. The masses are for John Dramani Mahama. They sing his song, they dance to his song. The national leadership seems to be tilted, falling backwards over and again for the same man in this particular case. It's obvious in the direction that this is going, that the rest may have to follow. Even the quest to raise the money for people to contest him was way too difficult for the others to raise. They demanded reductions. He didn't even comment about that. People came out willingly, 420 and more, to say they will pay to keep him in the election. This is not a man who will be in any fair contest with anybody. Don't you think so?
You see, the Ghanaian electorate is growing more matured by the day. The contest coming up is not a contest of popularity. It is a contest of vision, a contest of ideas, and the capacity of whoever wins to carry the entire nation along with it. You see? So, what happened at the trade fair site the other day, you see, if I want to go into the details as to how the crowd came in there, who were behind the crowd, and whether the crowd they were even delegates, we wouldn't finish today.
But they separated the non-delegates from the delegates. The 9,000 or so were delegates, we understand.
Let me tell you something.
Yes, please.
After the vote, after the vote, the northern delegates, Brong-Ahafo, Ashanti, even Greater Accra, Western region, all of them had left.
Okay.
At the time of the declaration, and at the time when this famous song was being
the
Bobolibo. Those who were there were not delegates.
Really?
I think you should do some little investigations.
I see. So you're still convinced that he can actually stand up and meet up the, what they call it, pedigree of former President Mahama in the NDC and win this election?
Raymond,
the Flabberant election.
You know something?
I know you're experienced in politics, but this is way too obvious for many to see.
It is when it is obvious that people lose sight of the realistic.
Do you think that Joshua Alabi will pull a surprise?
Now, I have traveled with Professor Joshua Alabi to several of the constituencies. I can tell you in absolute certainty that he is a strong contender in this race.
Yeah, you're not saying that he's going to win.
When I say strong contender,
yes, there are other people too.
No, you see, that is why
the race.
Now
that's just what you're saying.
Absolutely. You see, the way you have put it, you have drawn a foregone conclusion that John Mahama will be victorious.
I am yet to hear any analyst of our political system who has seen the NDC's current fight, who's been happening in the NDC today, who has made a different conclusion on this basis.
Okay.
I'm yet to see any.
Have the analysts gone to the field?
Of course.
Have you gone to the field?
When you say field, I mean, have I gone across the country?
Yes.
I can speak to people across the country without going there.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let us not contest this thing here. The date for the election is January 26th.
There must be a deeper reason why somebody like you would get back into active politics to do this. What is the real reason?
To get a credible, a formidable leader who will be able to contest effectively and win power for the NDC.
Do you have a problem with former President John Dramani Mahama? Personal problem?
I have told you that John is a nice man.
Okay.
He's a good man.
Beyond that?
But I have a personal right to determine the direction in which my thoughts flow.
It doesn't look like you're the only person in this state. I've heard the former three-time Chief of Defense Staff, General Numensa, make similar comments. I've also heard the venerable diplomat, Victor Beho, make similar comments. Exactly what is it with you as, let's say, your very good self and Victor Beho that you have against the former president?
We don't have anything against him.
Really?
What we are saying is that NDC has reached a stage in its development where the democratic credentials of the party needs to be improved, and where opportunity should be given to all who desire to contest. That is all the principle. And I am convinced that that is the way to go, because the impression that there is only one individual that can lead the NDC to victory is erroneous.
Who's saying that?
That is, you have just buttressed it with several examples that you have given yourself.
Yes, I've said that he looks like the person who will win.
Yes.
It doesn't mean he's the only person that can lead the party.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a difference between that. But my point to you, forgive me, in this case, is that, is there a problem? And is the problem more ethnic? Because after the election of the national officers, there were concerns that the voter region seemed to have been sidelined. After what they call it, the 2016 election, there were concerns that John Dramani Mahama seemed to be taking up the party rather than having its roots, which is in the voter region. A most respected, what they call a section of the party's serious vote source being neglected. Is that why you're doing this?
Now, let me tell you something. Professor Joshua Alabi declared his intention to run about 15 months ago.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, we held the Congress to elect our officers just a month ago.
Yes, it might be a compounding factor. Yeah, I get your point.
So we had ahead of time decided that there should be a new leadership for the party.
I see.
So the contest at the Congress
has nothing to do with
nothing, absolutely nothing.
Aggrieved members from the voter region has nothing to do with it.
Who are the aggrieved members?
Because we heard that they didn't come out to vote because they were aggrieved.
Who said it?
Oh, well, leadership of the party has said so before. Even what the coalition indicator has hinted that many of their members, especially strongholds like the voter region, refused to come out to vote because they were aggrieved.
Aggrieved over what?
And even the former President Mahama said that is why he's going back to the roots and sending the party back to the people who own it.
Well, that is his cup of tea. The truth of the matter is that the experiences of 2016 should not be repeated.
But he says he's learned his lessons.
Well, there's also opportunity for others also to try.
I see. Shouldn't the NDC be seen as having a more united front now, pushing the candidates singularly, who have overwhelming proclamation and endorsement, rather than some form of a contest, which may further deepen cracks in the party?
The premise on which you are raising this argument,
yes,
I don't agree with.
Really?
Yes. I am saying that this contest is not a popularity contest.
I see.
There are a lot of discerning individuals at the branch level who want to hear what they would benefit out of the upcoming leadership. And he who has a good program is the person they are going to root out for.
And in this case, you believe that's Professor Joshua Alabi?
I am confident.
How about I call Spill Gabriel?
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
You didn't support him?
No, I did not. You know something?
Yeah.
I'm going back to my earlier argument that after closely studying all and placing all of them on a scale of preference,
okay,
I decided to choose Professor Joshua Alabi for a number of reasons.
You made these reasons known. What if it turns out that you were wrong?
Well, you see, in this political game, certainty only comes after results.
How is Ghana's parliament currently doing? Because I have to wrap up.
Yes.
Ghana's parliament today.
Now, it is very difficult for me to
assess the parliament.
Because...
Okay, let me narrow it down. Parliament under Professor Mike Aaron Okwe, how is it doing?
I think that there is a big challenge with his style.
Yeah, the minority has complained.
Yes, bitterly. You see, studying under Justice Annan, the principle that Justice Annan espoused was that a speaker must behave like a proverbial judge who carries water in his mouth. He doesn't descend into the arena of conflict. He doesn't litigate with members on the floor. Now, the complaints that the minority have raised time without number have had to do with his style, the way he receives. I mean, there are too many for me to recount.
What should he do? Should he change?
No. He has a 4-year term.
Has not be changed. Should he change this particular approach?
Oh, if you are a leader,
yeah,
and people are dissatisfied with your output, you need to do some introspection.
Okay. And
come out with something that will be generally acceptable.
Former Deputy Speaker, former Member of Parliament, I appreciate your time with us today, and we should do more of these conversations. Proud to, even after the NDC goes into elections on January 26th. But thank you so much for joining us here today. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate you that you're still alive and active in Ghana's engagements.
Thank you.
Well, folks, that's where we end today's edition of UPfront. My name is Raymond Akwa.